Hey everybody, welcome back to Fly Kiwi. Man, some good news for household mortgages because the New Zealand Reserve Bank, or the Reserve Bank of New Zealand, is actually lowered the OCR, or the wholesale interest rate, from 4.25% down 50 basis points to 3.75%. That is fantastic news for people that are going to be wanting to remortgage. So excellent stuff there. Now, let's say we might get changes in the retail rates, maybe 2% or more. So that's going to be interesting. It's definitely going to bring the rates down quite a bit there. 50 basis points is a lot of relief. So that's good news. Now, the OCR reduced rates as inflation abates. So we're going to read through the statement here on their website. And so let's go through that. The annual consumer price inflation remains near the midpoint of the Monetary Policy Committee, 1 to 3%. Target band, remember, New Zealand used to have a 2% and was actually the one that started that. Now has a 1 to 3% target range. Firms' inflation expectations are at target, and core inflation continues to fall towards the target midpoint. So good news there. We're sitting at about 2.2% on the inflation rate. The economic outlook remains consistent, with inflation remaining in the band over the medium term. This is great news for the medium term, giving the committee confidence to continue lowering the OCR. Now, remember, interest rates always have a delayed impact, sometimes up to 12 to 18 months. So we're already starting to get that benefit. Already inflation at 2.2%, and now they're starting to reduce those rates. Economic activity in New Zealand remains subdued. In other words, we're actually in recession, right? So this is pretty weak wording. This is the problem when they're not writing stuff that's blatantly true, and they soften it up with this language, which is really annoying. But it's corporates do this all the time, and so the state departments. So subdued. We're in technical recession. We've had 2 negative GDP growth over the last 6 months. So with spare productivity capacity, domestic inflation pressures continue to ease. Although you wouldn't really know that, would you, with utilities and key costs to the to people in New Zealand, obviously super high. And of course, we've got a very weak exchange rate, so that means that oil prices and the pump prices are high. So we've still got a lot of costs actually flowing through too, from councils and other things and rates and things. So still a lot of stuff happening there, hidden and behind the scenes. Price and wage setting behaviors are adapting to a low inflation environment. The price of imports has fallen, also contributing to lower headline inflation. Economic growth is expected. So that price of imports is probably going to be a really good godsend there, with Trump now looking to lower oil prices and gas prices in the world with increased US production. So that's probably going to be a growing theme over the next 4 years. Economic growth is expected to recover during 2025. Lower interest rates will encourage spending, although elevated global economic uncertainty is expected to weigh on business investment decisions. Now, a question over this is how much savings New Zealanders have actually got. We might look at that in another video, and because obviously people can top up mortgages, take extra loans out with low interest rates, and feel more likely to do that, and therefore go and spending. That's kind of the idea there. How much of that behavior will we see? I'm still questionable about that because we've got high inflation, higher bills, but there'll be definitely some of it, I'm sure. Higher prices for some of our key commodities and a low exchange rate will increase export revenues. And so that low exchange rate does have a benefit on our exports. So that's good news. Employment growth is expected to pick up in the second half of the year as the domestic economy recovers. Obviously, we've had a very high rising unemployment, up to almost 5%, something about 4.9% there at the moment. So still a question mark over this. I think the economy is still pretty weak. And I think the Reserve Bank is being a little bit too optimistic about that. Global economic growth is expected to remain subdued in the next term. Geopolitics, including uncertainty about trade barriers, is likely to weaken global growth. I disagree with this position entirely. This is what we call a classic liberal position. I would think that actually Trump is going to fundamentally lift the whole world economy. And of course, that we're going to do a video on that too. Global economic activity is also likely to remain fragile over the medium term, given increased economic fragmentation. Well, that may not be the case, and you can decide what they mean by medium term. Typically, I'd mean between 6 and 18 months, somewhere like that. Consumer price inflation in New Zealand is expected to be volatile in the near term. No kidding. And of course, don't forget, we're still facing aggregated cumulative inflation. So even though inflation might have got down to 2%, we were way up at 7%, and therefore quite a while. So we've got that accumulated inflation. So that's why it's hitting the people, hitting people hard. So consumer price inflation in New Zealand is expected to be volatile in the near term due to a lower exchange rate and higher petrol prices. But like I say, I think there's going to be a big benefit of Trump's energy strategy, and you'll see that play out in the next 12 to 18 months. Of course, the net effect of future changes in trade policy on inflation in New Zealand is currently unclear. Yeah, I very much think that the national government has got a lot of problems. That they don't really have a great vision and have very weak leadership. So I think we've got a lot of problems there, despite them going to do trade talks as well. So yeah, let's see. They've also got to get on board with the Trump world. Otherwise, they're going to be struggling there. And of course, we've seen that the Prime Minister is typically a progressive who doesn't want to is living in his own la camp there, much closer aligned to the elites of Europe, for example. Nevertheless, the committee is well placed to maintain price stability over the medium term. Having consumer price inflation close to the middle of this target band puts the committee in the best position to respond to future inflationary shocks. The Monetary Policy Committee today agreed to lower the official cash rate by 50 basis points. That's 0.5 percentage point to 3.75%. So that's down from 4.25 down to 3.75. If economic conditions continue to evolve as projected, the committee has scope to lower the OCR further through 2025. Now, we're expecting at least another 25 basis points to get to about 3.5% there. That it might bring mortgage rates down into that 5.5% to 6% range for particularly for fixed and floating at the top end. So summary record of meeting there with that was February 2025. So that was around the CPI. So that's good news. So we're going to leave it there. But that is the update today. Good news if you're looking to do mortgages there, refix your mortgage, or if you're paying floating, that's good news, down to 3.75. And of course, the bank should respond accordingly. We're going to check out that in another video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Enjoy your day. And yeah, bit of good news there on the economic front, which is nice to have recently. All right, take care. Bye for now. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share.